Hello guys, this is Vaish. So today is November 24, Wednesday, and this is episode number 21. We had started this series on November 1st. So ideally episode and this thing should match, but in between 3 Sundays are over. So it's 3 weeks since we are doing it. So Sunday's editorial won't be there. So that is why the mismatch in the episode number and the date. Okay. Again, we are doing this as a trial basis. If you don't respond and if you don't comment under all the episodes which is already over, then we will be halting the series. So please see to it that you give your like and comment, and you can subscribe to this channel. You can contact us in Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Telegram, email. All these sources are available. So please come and be in touch with me, because all the lectures I'll be giving you the links on a daily basis. Okay, free lectures. You can simply wait for our messages and daily sit and watch. Okay, so now today's articles, we'll first see the agenda. So almost every article is important today, so it's may be a lengthy video. Okay, except this one, which I'm not going to discuss, because this is about the unicorn company. Okay, you should know, like $1 billion valuation if a company reaches. Okay, maybe it's like a Paytm or a Byju's or any a company. Okay, so what you will see, like either it will be a payment app or it will be a education app. Okay, a payment app or education app is what is now even in your TV or in your YouTube ads, anything which you're seeing, the 99% of the time ads will be either of a payment app or a education app. And the India is doing very well in terms of unicorn. Okay, meaning many more companies are becoming unicorns, and even a term called decacorns you will hear. Okay, decacorns means $10 billion valuation. So this Byju's and all, I think they have crossed that also. So that way companies are going in, they are going and listing now. Okay, listing means you should know IPO, and you would have heard first time going public. Okay, initial public offer. So they'll go public and then people can buy the shares now. So that way companies are going public. Paytm recently went public and was the highest ever valuation and all, and then but after the first day then it went down. So that is why the author is discussing about the sudden coming up of a lot of unicorn companies and their listing, and whether actually they are that much worth it. So a little bit money related thing. UPSC aspect, the terminology you have to study: unicorn, decacorn, IPO, and these all in our economic lectures and many other places we have already discussed. Okay, so this, if you see, breaking the ice, this is India USA relation. Okay, US representative have come to India, and they are trying to revive a lot of things. Okay, because Trump time, certain things were not going good, and many companies were shutting down, US companies were withdrawing. So that trade related aspects, reviving that is what is discussed. It's important for India US and GS2 portions. Okay, so this we'll discuss. Then this one and this one, if you see, is both about Sudan and Tunisia. Okay, this is specifically about Sudan. Okay, Sudan, there is this military coup and all going on, and here it is Tunisia plus Sudan. Okay, Tunisia is just a one paragraph they're telling, but basically like other Middle East countries are also supporting and trying to bring down these African countries. So that kind of some articles are there. So quick look we'll see, and that I'll discuss at the last. Okay, because it's something which needs little it's like new terms will be there, and you might not be knowing about what is Sudan, what is Tunisia, what is the problems there and all. So at the last we'll discuss. Okay, then here if you see, this is the road to Himalayan blunder, disaster management, GS3 portions it will come. Okay, because this is about the Chardham project, Chardham road project. There landslides are all happening, so that we'll discuss. Okay, then here if you see, again it's like GS2, you can tell this is the International Law Commission. Okay, there's something called ILC, International Law Commission. In that the appointment, Indians sending the people there are not in a proper process. For the first time ever they have sent a proper eligible person. So about that author is discussing. Okay, so it's also important. Okay, and here if you see, governance all over the place. This is like in Telangana, the secretary, after this Andhra Pradesh Telangana split up, then like who will have the parliament building, meaning their secretariat building, or who will have the high court. So that debate was going on, and then Andhra Pradesh moved out completely. Now Telangana is demolishing existing buildings. So that mismanagement, governance all over the place, meaning they don't have a proper secretariat now. Everybody are sitting somewhere here and there. So that we'll quickly discuss. Okay, because a new parliament building is also coming in center. I'll just tell you quick points. So like this, almost every article if you see, we have to discuss. Okay, and here if you see, students in this private coaching during pandemic, what is the status? So that table we'll discuss first. So students turn to private coaching during pandemic, meaning most of the people are going to private coaching or private tuitions. That is about, according to a report by this annual status of education report. In that it is telling it is significantly higher compared to the previous year. Okay, more and more people, except in the state of Kerala, they are telling everyone have opted for going private coaching. Okay, in Kerala it has in turn gone down. Okay, that also many graph wise they are showing, class wise and all. So that much detailing you don't need, but in general, the if you see 76% of students in West Bengal Bengal have took private coaching. Okay, and then class wise also, if you see 35%, class greater than 8th have taken 35%, 41%, up to 41% they have taken. Okay, the coaching. And by school type also, we see government school, private school. That also, if you see, nearly 40% of students have taken private coaching. This is if you see state-wise. So Kerala, if you see, that is the one at the bottom, but the others are all having private coaching. If you see, West Bengal is at the maximum at the right side. Okay, so like this, they are showing a chart where they're telling in the pandemic time people are going. Okay, you can also tell if in your family people have been sending or forcing the children to take private coaching because the schools were all shut down and it was not happening properly. You can tell that in comment section. Okay, and I hope by this time your like has come. And this, if you see, the boys, girls also they are showing. Okay, by 2021, if you see the boys how much, girls how much, overall how much, everything has risen only. Okay, there's nowhere it is going down except for the state of Kerala. Now about that Telangana secretariat demolition. Okay, what problem happened is, before even building the new structure, they demolished the existing Telangana secretariat. So obviously, where will all these people sit? The administration people, they cannot have a single place to sit now. So people are now finding it problem because they are not able to go for something. They are not able to meet the administrators or MLAs or MPs. So this kind of things are not happening because they of a wrong decision of hurriedly demolishing the existing building before constructing the new building. Okay, so Telangana people have to wait some more time to get access to the top levels of administration. Okay, because the new secretariat building is unlikely to be completed anytime soon. So this makeshift building, meaning temporary setup they have done now, where little bit of people are sitting, but others are all in different areas of Hyderabad. So people are not able to submit their grievances, or they are not able to get any action from these people. Okay, because the ministers and bureaucrats itself are not available at one point of time. One will be available, one will not be available. Okay, so all of this because the lack of space in the makeshift building, meaning the temporary setup was not well planned, and they are just for namesake they are running the secretariat now. If you see the history in 2014 when bifurcation happened, they decided like the secretariat building will be divided in the ratio 58:42, meaning 58% of the space will be for Andhra Pradesh and 42% for Telangana. Okay, till 2024. But Andhra Pradesh immediately decided we will move out, and they moved out and they are building their secretariat in the Amravati. Okay. So Andhra Pradesh moved out. So remaining, ideally Telangana could have used it. But this government, Chandrasekhar Rao government, he decided to demolish the building itself and build a new one, because he wanted the new state-of-the-art complex, means a new modern type one. Okay, like similarly in the center we are doing the parliament, that we are doing. But ideally when you are building something, that's a good idea only. But you should have not demolished the old one before this is constructed. Okay, what was the hurry? That is what the author is questioning. Okay, the old one, if you see, it is like built during the time of Nizams and all, 1880s and all, the one which is getting demolished now. Okay, and so temporary secretariat they have shifted, and the main reasons they are telling for demolishing, they are telling this only, like in the old building there are a lot of blocks, different places. So every time file has to be taken, physical files has to be taken from here to there to here and all, and it's exposed to sun and rain and all, and also tampering, confidential files are getting leaked in between that process and all. So that is the reason that old structure is of not good use. So we have to build a new extremely secure so fire safety, everything should be there. Okay, the old one fire safety was inadequate, so he completely demolished it. Okay, so actually he could have waited for the new thing to be constructed, but these kind of reasons they are telling for the demolition process. Okay, so it has not only affected the people but also led to problems of coordination between different departments, because I told you people are sitting here and there, they are not in the same building now. Okay, some are working from home, some are from some other private places. So that is what is happening. Okay, so this has defeated the spirit of people's governance, and so that again routed around they're telling the same thing. So government should have taken up the process in a phased manner instead of hurriedly destroying the old complex. Okay, because some of the buildings inside that old complex is just 2 decades old, just 20 years old. So why did you have to demolish such a thing? Okay, so people of the state is losing the governance quality. So decision to make secretariat can never be made lightly, and certainly not without a watertight plan and blueprint in face for future agreement. So this is the Telangana, that small box which I showed you in the right side of today's editorial. Okay, so in the same time I will show you Parliament building is also under construction, the triangular one, the new one, which is of the most modern and earthquake prone kind of very big setup is coming up. Okay, so in that you can have a lot of GK questions which can be asked in future. Okay, till now they have not asked it, even though this year question was there. Okay, like the old Parliament building, that round color shape, that was inspired from one temple. So that temple related question came in 2021 prelims. So you can expect again questions based on the new Parliament building. Okay, so if you see proposed seats are like 888 and all, like current seating capacity is only 552. So 888 is going to come. In Rajya Sabha also it is going to increase. Okay, and the shapes and the themes, everything has different thing. Okay, there are national symbols and all going to come. National emblem will be there. the main courtyard will have a banyan tree theme and all. So that again, one more picture I'll show you. This one you can note down, okay, this picture, and the coming days we'll discuss more. So if you see triangular, this much square meter, then Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and central launch will be there. The theme is like Lok Sabha is peacock, Rajya Sabha is lotus, central launch is banyan tree. These are the different themes and GK questions which, if UPSC is going down by the standards as they are going nowadays, they can ask this level questions also. Okay, national emblem will be the crown of the building. Okay, here in the crown it will be there. Okay, so capacity I told you, and again, so when joint sitting and all happens, everybody can sit together, like that much lavish kind of seat setup will be there. And then the project is given to Tata Projects. Okay, so because it's Tata, there is no any problem like some companies are being favored or anything, because Tata is always preferred by everyone. Okay, so again here, like the deadline they're telling October 2022, that we know that 75 year of independence is going to happen. So the winter session that time, okay, I told you Parliament, there are budget session, monsoon session, winter session, BMW. So in the winter session of next year, by that time this will be done. Okay, meanwhile in comment section try to tell me the old Parliament building, who is the architect. Okay, it is Britishers, obviously the Britishers architect names and all, try to tell in comment section. It is a UPSC question. Okay, this one, if you see this HCP design and all, the modern one, new one, but the old one, who is the architect and when was the Parliament constructed, tell me in comment section. Okay, so now moving, before going, we'll tell you that all the lectures which are being done, okay, it can get halted one by one. You would have already noticed if you are a very serious aspirant and if you were following some lecture, you would see like some of the playlists are not continuing. Same way in Vaish Courses channel, everything which comes other than the editorial is being discussed there. So if you don't subscribe, if you don't view, then you are going to be at loss. And after exam, when we claim questions, okay, this came directly from this video, that time you will regret that you did not listen to us. Please go and check it, because if you see 32 views, 46 views, these people who are just that 10-15 people who are regularly watching, I'm guaranteeing you that they will not miss even a single question which comes in the next year's prelims. Okay, it's not only UPSC, any exam where current affairs is oriented, Vaish IAS plus Vaish Courses plus my test series enrollment, current affairs test series enrollment, if you have done, I guarantee you that no question will come out of that. Okay, else if something comes, it will be the most weird static kind of question which comes, like this year which came about pressure cooker or the water bipolarity, which is science, general science kind of questions. Okay, that questions nobody can teach you. Okay, that is like extra questions which UPSC asks. But to reach the cutoff, you need only basic current affair and basic textbooks, which will be done through our free courses and also the enrollment of test series. Okay, so please see to it that you don't regret. Okay, it's okay if you fail, but if you don't study and if you go, that is very, very bad of you. Okay, so please see to it that you subscribe this. The subscriber is not increasing, so if you don't do, we will just completely shut it down. Okay, so please see to it that you support us in all the playlist. Okay, so these are the prelims, the mains, the answer writing. Even in this governance and social justice, every day one mains answer is being discussed. Only those people who are watching that will know that they are getting free mains question answers. Okay, so please see to it that you are watching all these episodes, and even the previous year MCQs of prelims is there. Even mains I have planned to start in future if you are supporting us. Okay, and to contact us, as I told, many options are there, but the fastest response will be in WhatsApp and email. So the next article is about India USA. A trade representative from USA, this Catherine, has come to India and is holding bilateral meeting with the Commerce and Industry Minister. Okay, so they are reviving or relaunching the US India Trade Policy Forum. Okay, TPF. Actually, 4 years back only the final time that meeting was happened about the trade policy forum. So they are trying to revive it. Okay, because in the latter half of Donald Trump administration and all, the trade, lot of problems were there. Okay, many import tariff related issue. Like we were telling, like the tax of many things are high. Like if you see, Ford also recently left India, and also Harley Davidson also left India, because Harley Davidson, all the bike cost plus the amount of tax which government has to put, Indian government has to forcefully put, because of the so that our domestic companies are not hampered. Harley Davidson could not be afforded by anyone here. Okay, so finally they had to go out because of out of business. Okay, loss of business. So like that, this problems like import tariff and all these things are because of various things. Okay, even USA removed India from this generalized system of preference. I'll tell you what is this at the end of this video. So GSP, India was getting the benefits from USA. Trump decided to remove India from GSP in 2018. Okay, so that now this person who has come, okay, is looking for a fresh reset chance. Maybe will again add India to the GSP list. Okay, it's same like the MFN, most favored nation concept, which we have in SAARC countries or WTO countries. So that same thing, USA specific is GSP. Okay, that I'll tell you at the end of this video. So this, if you see, GSP restoration would be considered so that tariffs and all will be done. But meanwhile, they are also asking India to take steps from India side also, that things which is US things should be not put that much high tax that nobody is able to afford it. Okay, so that kind of things are being discussed, and they realize that India is a key partner, okay, in the post-pandemic world, especially because everybody are trying to cut their dependence on China and move their all companies. If you see Apple or any Samsung, and also Korean companies are already doing. US companies are also, everybody trying to shift their production unit completely into India. Okay, so if that has to be done, both should have a mutual understanding. Even the medicines, okay, the generic drugs and all, if you see, Indian exports are very huge. Okay, Indians are known like the pharmacy of the world. Okay, so this and all, if has to properly go and the trade has to increase, both of them has to work on all these sudden regulatory shift which happens, tariff and non-tariff barriers. Okay, tariff barriers means the money related barrier, okay, like import duty tax or something. Non-tariff barrier means something like count we'll tell, okay, more than 100 kilo rice we won't import, or more than 100, that is non-tariff barrier, meaning on the tariff you are not putting anything, but still it's a barrier. So tariff barrier, non-tariff barrier, these are all related to WTO theory. You should know. If you had done my test series economics, you would be already knowing. And again, this kind of thing will be good for the future for India and USA. Okay, IPR waivers, they are telling, COVID medicines, even India told, if you remember, India, in one of the article I told you, India is trying to make all the IPR go away, meaning the patent for medicines are there in US companies and all. If they make a good medicine, they are putting patent, and so no other company can produce it. They have to depend on USA. So that IPR waivers India is requesting. So USA is telling we will try to work on that also. Okay, so both of them should try to work against this protectionism. Okay, meaning protecting your thing, because that is against globalization. Okay, globalization means everybody are freely trading with each other on everything, whether it's goods or services, freely trading. Okay, but protectionism means giving preference to your thing. Okay, USA, America, Trump used to do that. Okay, buy America first, or everything American he was going on telling. So that is now going to slowly change, hopefully. So GSP, now you should know, it is like a preferential scheme. Okay, preferential scheme granted by the developed nations, industrial nations, to the developing countries. Okay, like for example, now 13 countries are there for which GSP is given. Okay, like these are the countries GSP is given, meaning suppose Australia is selling a car in USA. Okay, and suppose X, okay, X dollars or something, whatever is the price, and India is also selling something, okay, Y dollars, or maybe say price is same, X dollars. But if you are under GSP, then the tax or whatever it will be, okay, here very minimal tax will be there for Australia, because Australia is there in the GSP. So Australian cars will look cheaper in USA. Okay, but India is not under GSP, so India will have to put a high tax here. Okay, so when an Australian car, Indian car, both base price is same, but when it reaches American market, the people will see like Indian car is very costly. Okay, and Australia they will prefer. So to avoid that, Indian car also has to be put into GSP. So all these countries which are in GSP will have that benefit, tax benefits or whatever they provide. Okay, that general system of preferences. People will start preferring those items from those countries because it's in the GSP. But Trump removed India's name, okay, from this GSP. Now they are trying to restore it. Okay, so now this international body which is related to this is UNCTA. Okay, the UN, the trade body. Okay, so that if you see, originally in 1964 this was presented, 1968 it was adopted, 1971 it was instituted. Okay, so this is the theory of this one, you have to know. Okay, most favored nation is again like India has revoked the MFN for Pakistan, so that is a different thing. Okay, so again, one country if is given some benefit, all the other countries also should be given that benefit in that grouping. Okay, like in SARC, if India is treating Bangladesh in one way, they should treat Pakistan also in the same way. That is called MFN concept. Okay, so this is actually WTO concept. So WTO, MFN, and UNCTAD, this one. Okay, GSP. So like that, you remember the basic theory of it. Now the next one is International Law Commission. Okay, so this body usually in every test series and every material it is not there. Okay, but it's very important. So recently what happened is there was the election of an Indian candidate, Bimal Patel, who is a law expert, that to an international law expert. That is the first time I think they have elected a proper person from India, meaning India has nominated. India should nominate and then they will elect it. Okay, so this is the first time it has happened. Usually India had a habit of sending all the retired judges, retired civil servants, retired bureaucrats who are not actually international law expert. Okay, so that the author is questioning and telling like this is a revolution kind of movement that first time we have done. Okay, even though it is told first time here in the same article, I could find like before this instance there was someone called Radha Binod Pal in 1958 who was an iconic judge. Okay, who is a Indian academician. Okay, so this is two instances where a proper person with proper international law expertise has been nominated by India. Okay, so here if you see, usually India will be ignoring the talent that existed in the international law in academia. Okay, instead they will send retired officials from the Legal and Treaties Division (L&T) of the Ministry of External Affairs. Okay, so this also try to know. Legal and Treaties Division (L&T) is under Ministry of External Affairs. Okay, so under those what people are there, they were routinely sent. Okay, so they are telling the predecessors of this Patel were all from this L&T department and not from the International Academy. Okay, so this person, he also, you would have seen in YouTube videos and all, very famous. So he also told the same thing. Okay, he was the permanent representative at the UN for India. Now he's replaced. So he used to tell this dependence too much is not good on L&T division. Instead, you should send the great experts. Okay, so International Law Commission, what it is, you have to know. It helps in developing and decodifying international law. Okay, it is composed of 34 individuals. Originally it was 15 and now it is 34, and they are having this expert people, okay, who knows international law completely, and they are elected by whom? They are elected by UNGA every 5 years. Okay, so these are the prelims related facts which can come from here. Okay, and the ideological root is there since early 19th century. Okay, very long time onwards, when the Congress of Vienna was there, and there itself they started making rules, international rules, principles and all. Later in the 20th century, it was made. The present body which we have, it is formed in 1947 by the UNGA. Okay, under the Charter of the United Nations, this body was formed, and its first session happened in 1949. Okay, and first what they did is, Second World War happened. By that time, 1945, World War over. So that time, whatever genocide, the crimes, international crimes, aggression, this and all was the work of influence. From that only they inspired, and they made lot of laws. Okay, the war-related laws and the criminal-related laws, they made it inspiring from that. Okay, so UPSC can ask that, like it was inspired from First World War or some Russian Revolution. It's actually the Second World War time. Okay, the timeline, if you see, 1947-49. Okay, and they held annual sessions. Every year they'll have sessions, and always at the same place. Okay, in Geneva they'll have the sessions. So it is responsible for several foundational development in international law, including what all? Including the Vienna Convention, the International Criminal Court, and this is the first permanent tribunal for this genocide and crimes against humanity. Okay, and even if you see the latest one also, summit is supposed to happen, but because of COVID pandemic, it is postponed. Okay, 2020 summit is postponed to 21. So again, one box I'll show you. These are the different act which has been come out of the ILC: the Vienna Convention on Law of Treaty, the Vienna Convention on Succession in State in respect to treaty, then this diplomatic relation, then again some wrongful act, International Criminal Court. All these are outcomes of International Law Commission. Okay, so India had a habit of nominating retired people into that. So now this author is telling, not only ILC, but every international body, India has this habit of sending former Supreme Court judge, former Indian civil servant, or some chief justice, or some general bureaucrat. Okay, so the contribution to the field of international law before joining the ICJ are largely unknown. These people have no experience in working international law. They have worked only in Indian law. Okay, see, most of the ones served in L&T division. So the point here is not questioning that these people are bad or something. Okay, or whoever names are written, it's not like they are bad. Their competence is not being questioned. But when every other country is sending internationally law certified people, why is India not sending it? Okay, because we have very good people. Okay, but none of them made into the final list. So now question is that whether any nepotism kind of thing is there, favoritism is there, and purposely government is sending those who have same ideology as the ruling establishment. So that legitimacy of the candidate is what the author is questioning, because the fairness of the system is getting hampered. Okay, so these are examples of other countries: Australia, Germany, UK. They are all sending International Law Academy passed out kind of people. Okay, who have that kind of expertise in everything. Okay, so that is what is here. So now the author is telling the MEA, under which the L&T is there, they should anchor the process. They should tell, like, instead of taking like this, they should go for the internationally acclaimed people. Okay, and a transparent mechanism should be there. So this is like the solution slide. Okay, always I tell you, telling problems are very easy. So what is the solution and the positive way or the way forward? Establish a transparent mechanism, independent search cum select committee, invite applications from qualified candidates, make recommendations publicly. Okay, so these all points, if you write, you will get good marks. Okay, so capability in domestic law should not be mistaken as expertise in international law. Okay, nominate the brightest available talent in international law. So this Patel's appointment can be a good way forward, so that government is actually doing something in the right way. Okay, so this is about the International Law Commission. Now about the Char Dham Yatra. Okay, Char Dham road you should know. So news is that landslides are happening. This Himalaya and all very vulnerable areas, there the landslides are happening. Many people already, Uttarakhand, always disaster keeps happening and many people lose their life, floods or landslides or earthquakes. So we'll discuss this. in enthusiasm of the infrastructural project. Okay, meaning government is so much interested in that, in building roads after roads, but government is ignoring the fact, okay, like how many tragic incidents happen in Uttarakhand. Okay, this rampant construction, complex interaction, even climate change related problems, all are causing many fragile event in Uttarakhand. Okay, so this is the kind of the map. If you see Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath, this four connecting is actually called the Char Dham. So this will come till Rishikesh here. Okay, this is Uttarakhand. Okay, you should know China border is here. Here Himachal is there, and below Rishikesh, if you go down again, what will come? Here Delhi, Agra, everything will come. So it's like an extended one. So government started with this project telling it's for the holy place connectivity, but they are building very wide roads, which is going against the initial report and plan. That is why now many landslides are happening. So that is what is being questioned here. Okay, this roads and all, if for theory, for other static exams you can by heart it, but else for UPSC it's not very important. Okay, so this again you have to bypass. You know, long bridges are coming, tunnels are coming. Every 1 week some or the other inauguration will be there. Okay, since this Modi government has come, the road sector, because Nitin Gadkari is one of the most excellent minister you have in this cabinet. Okay, others I don't know properly, but Nitin Gadkari, whatever he has done, whether it's in energy sector or transport sector, it's like revolutionizing. Okay, whether it's the BS6 engine or whether it is the new things adoption. Okay, even electric vehicles by 2030, 2040 and all, India will turn completely electric if he is who is the one in charge. Okay, so that kind of good things are happening, but you have to see to it that where are you doing all these things. If you are doing it in regions like Himalayas, you should know that it is very vulnerable area. Okay, this Char Dham project was started in 2016 by Prime Minister Modi, and if you see again, okay, certain places, just for your mapping, you have to know. Okay, Rudraprayag and all, already in geography test I have shown you. So these places you are connecting. Okay, so environmentalists are telling, even the NGT, everybody are telling, most of the things are done in very incorrect way. Okay, there are a lot of trees being cut, the slopes are very unstable, the soil erosion is happening, and between that you are widening the roads like anything. So flash floods are happening in this Alaknanda Valley and Bhagirathi Valley, earthquakes are happening in Chamoli and Uttarakakshi. So this kind of many things are happening, and you should take proper planning, and you should listen to what Supreme Court and all people are telling. Okay, so the government, as I told, began as a road connectivity project. But now they are telling it is like even near India-China border. So the troops has to be sent, the tank and battleships, whatever you need to send through road. Okay, that has to be done. That should be done to the same road. So Attorney General also, it is in Supreme Court. Okay, the case. Attorney General is also arguing, who is representing the Indian government, that for the sake of national security, we have to do this. Okay. So the road expansion project is now being challenged by NGO also, and Supreme Court set up a committee, high-powered committee, which in September 2020, and there was a guideline also, the Ministry of Road Transport, they had a guidelines also telling like the road cannot exceed 5.5 meter in width. Okay, but then what happened is, Defense Minister came and told that we will do up to 7 meter. Okay, even though the Supreme Court told do up to 5.5 meter, Defense Minister told we need double lane and we will do 7 meter. But now problem what happened is, in December they have now moved it to 10 meter. Okay, the width is like 10 meter, that is 7 meter road and then 1.5 meter on either side. So such a wide road they are constructing. Imagine by breaking of the Himalayan rocks and all these things. So obviously landslide kind of thing will happen, right? So this is what is the problem now. So if Uttarakhand, you know, lot of valleys are there and they are telling the difference now. Okay, because you would have noticed like in Ladakh also these things are happening, but Ladakh you don't hear any disasters like this. So they are telling the difference, geographical difference. Valleys in Uttarakhand are narrow and close and steep slopes of 60 to 70 degree. Okay, very steep it is. But in Ladakh it is only having slope elevation of 30 degrees. Okay, it's not like very deep valleys as in Uttarakhand. So this is the major difference. If UPSC asks you, you should know this. Okay, in face-to-face in interview, if they ask you also, like both places construction is going on, then why only Uttarakhand is having the problem? This is the reason. Okay. So now again floods are happening in Dhauli Ganga, Rishi Ganga, Alaknanda rivers and all. Several landslides are happening and they are repeatedly happening. Okay, back to back. So this Ministry of Defense and Road Transport, they have to justify why is this being done. So finally they come up with an answer like we need to install toll booth and all there. So we need a wider road. Okay, but that were just lame excuses. The main reason for them is that the defense related movement should have been there. So the intention is good, but what they are trying to do in a very haphazard way is not good for the environment. Okay, and the people there, and rainfall also, you know, it's like increasing all the time every year. So because of that, the nature's fury, okay, the mitigation measures are no match to nature's fury. You cannot fight with nature. Okay, because nature's thing is very powerful. So the only way is prevention and regulation of activity. You should not construct roads in this much disastrous kind of way that later you will not be able to mitigate it. Okay. So again, the solution is disaster resilience, safe things you have to do, and the steep slopes that now you have to consider, and also the carrying capacity of Himalayas. Okay, carrying capacity of Himalayas, if it is crossed, then you will not be able to do anything. Okay, So again, they're telling all these vulnerabilities are always in like proportion to the human induced disturbance only. It's no, you cannot simply tell climate change and all. It is human activities only which is enhancing the things. Okay, erosion rates are increasing, wasting process, the soil, everything going out. So future generation also, we should preserve the areas for the future generation. The Himalaya is also called abode of the god. Okay, so we should not vandalize them or destroy them. Okay, this is about the Chardham article. So here again, this is the project theory part. Wikipedia I have taken. So places I hope by now you know: Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. 900 km of highway. NH 125 is the road there which goes to Kailash Mansarovar. Then it's in India-China border. Then here, if you see Dehradun and Meerut, these are the military or missile bases of India. So connectivity is going to there also. Implementation agency, you know, the PWD of Uttarakhand is there. The BRO organization is there, which even entered Guinness record for constructing high roads in Ladakh and all. And this under the road transport ministry, there is a body, NHIDCL. These are the implementing agency. Now when you, as I told, the forest and trees are getting cut, these are the species there which is going to get a problem. Okay, this Khalij pheasant, okay, which in Jammu I think is declared the important bird also now. Then here again, all these are scheduled one animals. Okay, so this kind of species are going to get affected because of the different tree cutting and forest cutting. Okay, so these are extra theory points I wanted to tell you. Now we'll discuss the Sudan related article and the Tunisia related article. So both combinedly, maybe you have not heard about it. Main thing is map. Okay, you have to know where is Sudan. So here, if you see, Sudan is above the equator, below the Tropic of Cancer, and here Red Sea is there. Okay, so you should know what all the countries passing through Tropic of Cancer, what all the equator. Our students will get revision charts later. Others, please go and try to find out. And then question usually always comes about Mediterranean Sea and this side Persian Gulf. So Red Sea questions have very rarely come. So try to find out in comment section. Tell me bordering countries of Red Sea. Okay, bordering countries of Red Sea. Please tell me a question can come. Okay, because this area is in news. So Sudan, this is the capital, and South Sudan, which was earlier part of Sudan, broke away. This I think is the newest country in the world also, because you know, like in India, the newest state, if you tell, it is Telangana. Same like in the full world, the newest country I think it is South Sudan. Go and confirm. So this in 2011 or 14 or something only it came up. So here always a civil war is happening, but this article is not about South Sudan. It is about within Sudan itself. Lot of problems are there. Okay, military versus government problems are going on. Same like we have in Myanmar on our right side. Here problems are going on. Okay, here you should know Eritrea is there, Egypt is there, Ethiopia is there. Okay, these are called seed countries also. Okay, D stands for Djibouti. Djibouti will be here in the this small one. Okay, Djibouti. So seed countries you should know which are the ones, and border countries tell me in comment section. So this problems and all started around 2018-19 and time, when the people were demanding to remove the corrupt president, which is this Omar al-Bashir. Okay, so that person had to be removed, and then when they removed, obviously a transitional government should come. So that transitional government will be for 4 years, which will be shared by the armed forces and the civil administration. Okay, civil administration will be having a civilian prime minister. Okay, so prime minister plus armed force, which will replace the president. Okay, and that armed force will be represented by this person. Okay, General Burhan. Okay, General Burhan plus one prime minister. Okay, so the prime minister name is this one, Abdullah Hamdok. So prime minister plus this thing is going to replace him. This is what first happened. Now when this happened, military people, they did not recognize this also properly. They immediately suspended the constitution. Then there was something called sovereignty council. Okay, as I told, when this plus this comes, this plus this, they made a sovereignty council. Okay, like a parliament or a secretariat kind of thing. Now this military suspended the constitution, suspended the sovereignty council, put this prime minister under house arrest, and then military was ruling it in October 25. Now in November 21, what happened is people started protesting again. Okay, because inside house arrest, this person was told, give your resignation and give entire thing to military. But he, inside the house arrest, also protested. So people started supporting the prime minister. So people started supporting prime minister. Protest happened in huge numbers, and then they had to now hand over again to this back. Okay, this one, sovereignty council. They are trying to bring it back. Okay, this is the news item. So if you see this term, they are trying to make a technocratic government. Okay, a technical arrangement they are making, technocratic government. So in UPSC, if they ask, technocratic government was in news related to Sudan. Okay, and again, so decision to reinstate. Okay, the decision can come. Do you think it is just because of people protest? Okay, people protest is not a correct answer. People protest is there. Okay, protesters wanted to support, but that is one thing. Another thing is the international pressure. Okay, especially from USA. If you know, Sudan earlier was there in this terror sponsoring list and all, but USA only helped them come out of this list. Okay, Sudan from this list, USA only helped. So obviously, when USA tells something, they will have to listen, because Biden, the new president, even froze the money, the aid and all which is being given, 700 million, that is frozen, and told like you have to bring back Hamdok, bring back the prime minister. So these two together, the protesters plus the US pressure, this is what made now have a deal. A 14-point deal is being signed between the this Burhan, that is the general, with the Hamdok. Okay, and they will release all political prisoners. So this is for, why did Hamdok sign it? To end the bloodbath, because many people were being killed. And why is Burhan signing it? So that what everyone wants, a transparent democratic election kind of government they will form. Okay, so that election will happen in July 2023. This is the news. But one problem is here, people are not happy that this deal is being signed. People who are protesting, some of the people think like, why should you allow this person to come back, because they put you in house arrest and all. So this should completely go away, and we should have a complete democratic government. We don't want the army kind of rule. Okay, so that problem is also going on. So the protest is still continuing. Okay, continuing the street protest. This person, if you see, he is even worked with the UN and all, the prime minister. So as I told, he refused to resign under house arrest. And then if you see the deal is not like every section of the protesters, they are not happy. Okay, they are telling no negotiation, no partnership, no legitimacy. So this also UPSC can pick up. They have a habit of asking this. Okay, like two nation theory is where, or this country, that country is where, twin government is there. So that kind of anything which comes in news, they'll catch and ask. So no negotiation, no partnership, no legitimacy is related to the protesters thing against the army general Burhan in the Sudan region. Okay, so now to address all these challenges, this person, the Hamdok, the prime minister, he has to win the trust of all these parties, pro-democratic party and independent government, civil society representative. He has to take everybody's confidence and tell like, okay, we will try to see that military doesn't come to power again. Okay, but military cannot be trusted, because you know Myanmar also same thing happened. One time prime minister will be there, then military will come in power. Then again prime minister will be there, again military will come in power. Because military is not in control. Okay, like in Pakistan, Myanmar, Sudan, these places and all, military and government are always like this, keeping on changing. There is no full-time democracy at any time. Okay, so this is the Sudan related main article. Okay, now the next article, they are telling a little bit about Tunisia also, because in Tunisia also same kind of thing is happening. Okay, in Africa itself. So Tunisia, you should know, it's near the Mediterranean Sea in the north of Africa. So there also this political order is there, especially now when pandemic came, a lot of economic problem is there. Okay, economy means in everything, in GDP, like GDP fell, inflation is high, poverty increased, unemployment is high, and they need this much $5 billion for fighting the budget deficit. So all these things are happening. Okay, so if you see, this much people died also, out of only population is that much only, in that this much people are getting infection, this much people are dying. So overall Tunisia is a failure. And there also, if you see, the president had a huge victory and all, but after he came into power, he sees that the entire political system is paralyzed. Everybody are corrupt, everybody are like monsters, and nobody cares about the people. Everybody are money minded and power minded. So he is completely disappointed after coming to power. So he dismissed the prime minister and suspended the entire parliament, and even nationwide curfew was put. Okay, so now initially people welcomed it. People thought like, okay, a good person has finally come, he will solve everything. Okay, but later they saw like no initiative is done to improve the conditions. He simply suspended the people and kept, but he himself is not doing anything. Okay, so now people are again protesting to restore the constitution. So again, there also protest is happening. So you understood Sudan issue, you understood Tunisia issue. Okay, this much general thing is enough. Okay, sometimes too much detailing, they'll come like this date that happened, that date this happened. That much story you don't need. I am teaching you the gist of both the issues. Okay, now several new commentators, they are telling that all these things are sponsored by other countries, other Arab countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE and Egypt. Okay, they are purposely causing fights here and civil wars here, so that never ever democracy and things comes in African countries. They want these countries to always remain poor. Okay, so Saudi Arabian one newspaper and Egyptian one daily paper, all these are telling the same thing, that in Sudan and this thing, these are tie up with UAE and Sudan. Okay, if you see this General Burhan, which we talked about in Sudan issue, he has close ties with UAE and Saudi. Okay, whenever there's some perhaps problem happens, they will exchange troops also with each other, meaning their military will provide, Sudan military will go to Saudi and fight for Saudi in Yemen related conflict, or even in UAE Israel related issue, they will go and support them. So this Burhan is fully tie up with UAE and Saudi. So whatever he is doing, he is getting funding from them, because these are rich countries. They are the ones causing the civil war to continuously happen in these countries. Okay, in Sudan and Tunisia and all. Okay, because they are poorer countries. Okay, in Tunisia also, all the social media campaigns to criticize all this democratic revolution is being funded by UAE. That is what people are believing. Okay, so this one is a very bad thing, right? So in years to come, no kind of reform or no kind of thing is going to change the status of Tunisia and Sudan, because these outside powers are controlling it. Okay, Egypt, Riyadh and Abu Dhabi, they are controlling all the things. So this is going to be a very long kind of poor state of affairs for Tunisia and Sudan. Okay, this is the article. So I hope everything was clear. I tried to do it fast because the articles were lengthy. Okay, so please contact me and check out all the free classes in both the channels, Vaish IAS and Vaish courses, because if you don't subscribe and support, we will not be able to give you quality lectures and quality content. I'll come with the next episode. Thank you and have a nice day.